EX Turk channel.
Hello guys, your King Knight, Vincent Valentine EX Turk, and I come with you with another Final Fantasy theory, or another Final Fantasy segment as normal. I'm going to keep doing some of these. This is going to be on 7. I just started playing 7 again, and played one of my older files I did beforehand. You know, one of my old files. So, I actually kind of stumbled on something. When we went to do the arc to get the black materia to go to the northern cave, and then we saw a buried Sephiroth right into the cavern, you know, or Cloud starts to figure out he's not really Zack, but that's out of the point. But something was very peculiar that just not only bothered me and baffled my mind and expanded it, but when Hojo talks about Cloud being not only a failure, but Cloud being a Sephiroth clone, what could this mean? What could this possibly mean? And I'm going to give you the interpretation in a little bit right now in this video and break it down. After Zack lost his battle with Sephiroth, Cloud picked up Zack's Buster Sword and finished off Sephiroth in Crisis Core. Well, since Crisis Core is no longer canon, it pretty much could be following the events of Last Order. So pretty much, Hojo knows Cloud won the battle, and it wasn't Zack that won the battle. It was Cloud that won the battle. Since he concluded that, he took both Cloud and Zack's knocked out body from that fight and experimented on both bodies. Since Zack already had the Mako injections and Genova cells and all the other stuff that, you know, first class soldiers get, Zack was deemed really the failure. As for Cloud, had the same dosage as Sephiroth. In fact, pieces of Sephiroth were put into Cloud during the experiment in the Shinra Manor Nibelheim. So what could this mean? Now I'm gonna say something that's gonna blow all of you Final Fantasy fans' minds. Could Cloud Strife be Sephiroth's? Could Cloud Strife and Sephiroth be brothers? Genetically. Now, they're not born from the same mom, if you're thinking that. But they could be genetic clones. Now, even though this is no longer canon, but Kadash keeps calling Cloud his older brother. Why do you think that? Even though that's not canon anymore. Whether it's canon or not, every game has the same storyline. Sephiroth knows what Cloud's thinking and uses it against him. Even in Kingdom Hearts. In Kingdom Hearts version of this, Sephiroth is Cloud's Heartless. So, what could that mean, you say? Pieces of Sephiroth live within Cloud. Maybe that's why Sephiroth never dies. Sephiroth never dies. So, I guess, in a way, in Final Fantasy 15, they kind of took some of the same concept for art. That's another time and another story, and I'm not trying to open that can of worms with this can of worms. Right now, we're going to stick to one can of worms. So, could it be possible that Sephiroth and Cloud are actually genetic brothers? Now, they're not biological brothers because they don't have the same mother. But pieces of Sephiroth were used to make Cloud even stronger. Like when Crisis Core happened, when Zack broke Cloud out of the tanks, he already had pieces of Genova and the live stream and the Mako ejections, just like Zack, but with pieces of Sephiroth inside Cloud. Now, when Zack broke him out, there's a good reason why Hojo ordered the execution of Zack Fair. And, you know, of Zack Fair. There's a reason why not Cloud. Yes, surprisingly, that's why Cloud was never found. One of the reasons why. Hojo wanted to keep Cloud so he could turn him into the next Sephiroth. Because Hojo was bored with the original Sephiroth because he deemed him as a failure since Sephiroth lost the battle to a normal human, which that normal human was Cloud. Hojo took more interest in Cloud. So you know what that could mean. Cloud became the next favorite. And that's why Sephiroth, that's why Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII, and possibly even a remake E2, it focuses on the story of Cloud and Sephiroth. What the compilation did that was a little bit bad was it took the focus off those two. But Final Fantasy VII is, the whole theme is about the story of Cloud's strife and the story of Sephiroth and how they're parallels to each other. And it makes so much sense now. The reason why Cloud can feel Sephiroth is because he's a part of Sephiroth. He's a clone. So he's actually Sephiroth's younger brother. If anything else. Through genetic things. But the reason why Hojo ordered the execution of Zack Fair, because he knew that Zack Fair broke out of there, took Cloud and tried to run with Hojo's precious experiment. And you don't want to do that with Hojo. Hojo will find you around the tri-state. You can go to Wutai and hide out. He'll find you. He'll be looking for you, just like he did with Gast and stuff like that. But that's another reason why they couldn't find Cloud, because Hojo wanted them to retrieve Cloud's body, because Hojo was interested in Cloud, because Cloud was to become the next Sephiroth. You know, and Hojo felt like the experiment was not complete. Meaning that that there's still some inconsistencies, even though Cloud was already perfected. Because if you remember the beginning of Final Fantasy VII, Cloud was so strong already. Because the beginning of the Final Fantasy VII happened right after Zack dies. After Zack dies, Cloud gets the Buster Sword. Cloud spends 3 years training in Avalanche. After, Zack dies, because Zack's goal was to become a mercenary, so Cloud became a mercenary for 3 years. It started doing jobs for Avalanche. And that's how Cloud and Barrett met. So Cloud and Barrett pretty much knew each other for 3 years prior to 4. But you know how strong Cloud was there at that time? Cloud was super strong. Took out Guard Scorpion with not very much of a problem. Game-wise, it was a hard boss in the beginning. But story-wise, Guard Scorpion was nothing against Cloud, because at this point, Cloud had the same kind of power as Sephiroth did. So the Final Fantasy VII Cloud is way stronger than the Crisis Core Cloud, because Crisis Core Cloud's human Cloud until Hojo takes his body after defeating Sephiroth for the very first time. And that's how those two become enemies. Because Sephiroth was unfinished business, and Cloud could always feel Sephiroth through the whole game. And that's why Sephiroth could control portions of Cloud's body to give him the black materia. And, and that's what happened. So, yeah. Cloud and Sephiroth are actually brothers. Genetically. They are genetic constraints with each other. That's how they can always feel each other, know each other's thoughts, because they're genetic brothers in Final Fantasy VII. And that's why in Kingdom Hearts, they took that same concept, except instead of genetic altered brothers, they're pretty much one's the heartless of the other one. And I know that sounds crazy. But think about it. And even Dissidia, this was touched upon. Even though everybody lost their memories in Dissidia, this was touched upon. So that's why I said this is a crazy theory, but I think it's possible that Cloud and Sephiroth are brothers. And that they parallel each other. Because if you know the theme of Final Fantasy VII, you thought it was about the other characters too. You thought it was about Avalanche versus Shinra. No. Avalanche versus Shinra was part of what made this story, because Cloud only got to get closer to Shinra and Sephiroth thanks to him joining Avalanche. So Avalanche was only part of this story, but this is Final Fantasy VII is the story of both Cloud and Sephiroth, about the two parallels, the two different viewpoints from people that are from the two persons that are actually biologically related to each other due to genetics. And that's why I think Cloud and Sephiroth are brothers. It was even touched by this in Mobius, the latest game, the latest PC release that used to be an Android and iPhone game only. Well, it would take way too many gigs to actually play that, but so they put it on the PC. But the PC game Mobius actually touched upon this. Kingdom Hearts touched upon this. Dissidia touched upon this. And notice if you play the fighting game Urgets, just a little bit, even though they use some similar movesets to the movesets of their characters, some of Sephiroth's movesets is based off Cloud's movesets, especially the small meteors. Now, what does that mean? That they're cameoing, that it is confirmed by that they're cameoing and trying to put a message out there for everybody to confirm that Sephiroth and Cloud are brothers. And the reason why this is good, this is a theory that you're gonna need to watch before playing the remake, because they're gonna touch upon this a lot more than they did in the original. The original concept, stuff like that, it's gonna be scratched out with a new concept. So the whole new concept is gonna be through the whole entire game, pretty much a Cloud and Sephiroth game, just like the way it should be intended. So Sephiroth's gonna be teased earlier, and this whole concept about Cloud being being a Sephiroth clone. That's why Sephiroth keeps saying, "You're a puppet. You're a puppet. You know, you have no emotions. Stop acting like 7." This will, but in the remake, this will actually tie in a lot better because they're going to introduce that a lot earlier, so it won't be confusing. But the reason why the whole Avalanche versus Shinra thing happened is because if it was for Avalanche, Cloud wouldn't have gotten in contact with Sephiroth and pretty much had all that ordeal. But Hojo said to Cloud straight up that I reconstructed your body and made you into a clone of Sephiroth because Sephiroth was a failure for losing against you. Because Hojo at this point thought Sephiroth was a failure because he lost against Cloud, a mere human. And Hojo knows this, being the scientist he is. So, pretty much the whole entire Final Fantasy, if you really think about it, the whole entire Final Fantasy VII theme focuses on both brothers with different perspectives. They're both screwed over by Shinra. One fights for the good of humanity and protects people from Shinra. One destroys humanity. So pretty much, Sephiroth is also the opposite of Cloud. You know, if you really think about it, this focuses on brothers. And Final Fantasy has done this stuff a lot more. Just like the whole, when Ardyn teased up his rivalry between his brother Izunia. Final Fantasy's always having family members fighting each other because, you know, one family member goes bad. Just like in Final Fantasy IX, Kuja and Zidane were brothers, but Kuja went on a dark path and Zidane went on the light path. So pretty much, Final Fantasy games focuses on brothers. So that's why Hojo said he reconstructed. That's why that line was thrown in there by Hojo to tell Cloud that, to tell Professor Hojo, Cloud, you know, the lines were for him to tell, you know, Cloud, you are reconstructed to be the next Sephiroth. Meaning he had the same kind of treatment as Sephiroth. So Cloud's an adult, so he don't have as much as Sephiroth. Or Cloud would have silver hair and cat style green eyes like Sephiroth. Tell me what you think about this theory and this mind-blowing theory. You could add on to it. You could add more lore to this. Comment, like, subscribe, share. Don't forget to sign on my Patreon. Free cosplay prints to people who donate 3 at least. So may the crystal be with you.